The Catholic map of America is being redrawn. For generations, cities across the Northeast and Midwest were seen as the unquestioned centers of Catholic life in the United States. Their great cathedrals, crowded parishes, Catholic schools, and immigrant neighborhoods shaped the public image of the Church. But while some of those historic strongholds are losing members or combining parishes, a very different story is unfolding across the South and West. In several United States, Catholic populations are growing so quickly that existing churches can no longer hold every family arriving for Sunday Mass. New parishes are being organized, additional services are being offered, and dioceses are confronting a challenge that many regions would welcome: how to serve more Catholics than their current buildings and ministries were designed to support. Yet the fastest-growing Catholic populations are not all expanding for the same reason. In one state, Hispanic families are transforming parish life. In another, young professionals and Catholic families are arriving from across the country. Elsewhere, international immigration is creating communities that worship in several languages under the same roof. These are the top 10 United States, with the fastest-growing Catholic populations, and the forces reshaping Catholic life in each one may reveal where the future of the Catholic Church in America is being built. Subscribe to the channel and join us as we uncover this changing Catholic map. Number 10. Nevada. Beyond the casinos, convention halls, and neon-lit streets of Las Vegas, another Nevada is taking shape every Sunday morning. Parish parking lots fill early, Spanish and English masses follow one another, and families from across the United States and Latin America gather inside churches that were never designed for such rapid growth. Nevada's Catholic population has expanded alongside the rise of Las Vegas and its surrounding communities. Many newcomers arrive from California in search of more affordable housing and new employment, while Hispanic and Filipino Catholics continue to strengthen parish life through family networks, devotional traditions, and active participation in the sacraments. Some communities now require additional weekend masses, larger religious education programs, and more ministers capable of serving several languages. Yet Nevada reveals an important difference between Catholic population growth and Catholic practice. A person may still identify as Catholic without regularly attending Mass or becoming involved in parish life. This means the Church is not only trying to create more physical space, it must also welcome mobile families, reconnect inactive Catholics, prepare children for the sacraments, and build lasting communities in a state where people often arrive and leave quickly. Nevada's Catholic story is growing beneath the bright public image of Las Vegas, not through spectacle, but through crowded pews, immigrant families, and parishes working to keep pace with a city that rarely slows down. Number 9. Idaho. Before sunrise on Sunday, some Catholic families in Idaho are already on the road. Their parish may be many miles away, the winter weather may be severe, and the drive can take longer than the Mass itself. Yet they continue to come because, in a state where Catholic communities are often separated by long distances, the parish is more than a building. It is where families find the sacraments, children receive religious formation, and newcomers discover that they are not alone. Idaho's Catholic population is growing. As new residents arrive from other parts of the country, especially families drawn by employment, lower housing costs, and rapidly expanding communities. This movement is changing places where a small parish once served a scattered rural population. Classrooms fill more quickly, baptismal preparation becomes harder to schedule, and one priest may be responsible for several communities spread across a wide territory. The central challenge is not simply accommodating more people inside the Church. It is bringing Catholic life close enough for families to remain connected. When Mass, confession, religious education, and youth ministry require repeated long-distance travel, participation becomes difficult even for committed Catholics. Parishes must therefore build stronger volunteer networks, expand bilingual ministry where needed, and find ways to serve areas developing faster than permanent church facilities can be constructed. Idaho's growth does not arrive with the visibility of a major Catholic city. It unfolds quietly through long drives, growing families, crowded formation programs, and small communities learning how to preserve closeness while the distances between them remain vast. Number 8. Utah. Utah is one of the last places many Americans would expect to find a rapidly expanding Catholic presence. The state is widely associated with another religious tradition, and Catholics have long lived there as a small minority. Yet beneath that familiar public image, Catholic communities are becoming more visible, more diverse, and more deeply rooted in the cities and suburbs where Utah is growing fastest. The change is not driven by a single population. Hispanic Catholics bring strong family devotion, Marian traditions, and a deep connection to parish life. Filipino, African, Asian, and other immigrant communities add their own languages and customs, while Catholics arriving from other states enter a religious environment very different from the places they left behind. Inside the same parish, families who have lived in Utah for generations may worship beside newcomers who arrived only months earlier. Living as a minority also shapes Catholic identity in a distinctive way. Faith cannot simply remain a cultural background when the surrounding society does not naturally reinforce it. Parents must explain Catholic beliefs more clearly to their children. Young people often learn how to speak about their faith among friends from other traditions, and parish relationships become especially important for those searching for a sense of belonging. Growth, however, creates pressure beneath the surface. Religious education programs need more teachers. Multilingual ministry requires additional support, and expanding neighborhoods may be located far from established parishes. Utah is therefore not only gaining Catholics, it is testing whether a once small Catholic community can become larger without losing the closeness, clarity, and resilience that helped it endure as a minority. Number 7. South Carolina. For much of its history, South Carolina was never considered a major center of Catholic life in the United States. Protestant traditions shaped the religious culture of the state. Catholic parishes were relatively scattered, and many communities had only a modest Catholic presence. That older pattern is beginning to shift as population growth carries the church into places where its institutions were once limited. The change arrives through several different doors. Families relocating from the Northeast bring parish habits formed in older Catholic regions. Retirees settle near the coast after spending decades in states with larger Catholic populations. Hispanic workers and young families establish new roots in growing towns, while international newcomers add devotional traditions that were rarely visible in local churches a generation ago. These groups may enter the same parish, but they do not always arrive with the same language, expectations, or understanding of community life. This creates a deeper challenge than simply adding another weekend mass. A parish may need to serve older retirees in the morning, working families later in the day, and Spanish-speaking communities in the evening. Religious education programs must welcome children from very different cultural backgrounds, while clergy and lay leaders work to prevent the parish from becoming several separate congregations sharing one building. South Carolina's Catholic population is expanding in a region without the dense network of Catholic schools, parishes, and institutions found in older strongholds. Its growth, therefore, depends not only on how many Catholics arrive, but on whether these new communities can form a shared identity strong enough to endure beyond the first generation. Number 6. North Carolina. By the time the first Sunday Mass begins, the parking lot is already full. Families circle the property looking for space, volunteers guide traffic, and late arrivals stand near the back because every pew has been taken. In parts of North Carolina, this has become more than an occasional inconvenience. It is one of the clearest signs that Catholic communities are expanding faster than many parishes were built to handle. The strongest pressure can be felt around Charlotte, Raleigh, and other rapidly developing areas where new jobs, universities, and growing suburbs continue to attract residents from across the country. Among them are young professionals, married couples, international workers, and Catholic families searching for a more affordable place to raise their children. They do not arrive as one uniform group, yet their presence is changing the daily rhythm of parish life. The strain often appears first outside the sanctuary. Religious education classes need additional rooms. Sacramental preparation programs require more catechists. Youth ministries must serve teenagers from different cultures, while priests move between packed weekend schedules, weddings, baptisms, confessions, and hospital visits. Some parishes respond by adding masses, expanding facilities, or beginning new missions in neighborhoods where the nearest Catholic church is no longer close enough. North Carolina, therefore, reveals a form of Catholic growth that feels immediate and physical. It can be seen in crowded hallways, waiting lists, busy parish offices, and parents trying to keep their children connected to the faith. The central question is no longer whether Catholics are arriving, but whether the Church can build the ministries, leadership, and sacred spaces needed to remain present as these communities continue to expand. Number 5. Georgia. On a single Sunday in metropolitan Atlanta, one parish can sound like several countries gathered under the same roof. English may fill the sanctuary in the morning. Spanish follows later, and another community arrives carrying prayers, music, and devotional customs shaped in Africa, Asia, or the Caribbean. Georgia's Catholic growth is not unfolding through one dominant culture. It is emerging through many communities, learning how to share the same altar. Atlanta's expanding economy has drawn professionals, students, international workers, and young families from across the United States and far beyond it. At the same time, Hispanic Catholics have established a stronger presence in suburban towns and working communities where Catholic institutions were once limited. African and Asian Catholics are also bringing traditions formed in places where parish life remains closely connected to family, celebration, and mutual support. This diversity gives Georgia's parishes extraordinary energy, but it also creates a demanding pastoral reality. Offering Mass in several languages can help people pray with confidence and preserve traditions that carried their faith across borders. Yet separate schedules can leave communities worshiping beside one another without truly knowing one another. Children may speak English more comfortably than their parents, while older generations fear that their religious customs will disappear as families adapt to life in the United States. The deeper work begins after the final hymn. Parish leaders must create shared ministries, prepare bilingual catechists, support intergenerational families, and build relationships strong enough to cross linguistic boundaries. Georgia's Catholic population is expanding through difference, and its future will depend on whether diversity becomes more than parallel communities occupying the same building. The challenge is to form one Catholic family without asking anyone to erase the history, language, or devotion they carried with them. Number 4. Arizona. Arizona's Catholic growth did not begin with the latest wave of newcomers. Long before Phoenix became one of the fastest expanding metropolitan areas in the country, Catholic communities were already rooted across the Southwest through missions, Hispanic families, and generations of believers who carried the faith through changing borders and difficult landscapes. The growth seen today is therefore not the arrival of Catholicism in Arizona, but the expansion of a tradition that has been present for centuries. That older foundation is now meeting a much newer Arizona. Phoenix and its surrounding suburbs continue to attract workers, young couples, retirees, and families from other parts of the United States. At the same time, immigrants from Mexico and other Latin American countries are entering parishes where Spanish-language worship and Marian devotion have long been part of local Catholic life. These communities do not simply add more people to existing congregations. They bring different expectations about family, worship, religious education, and the role of the parish beyond Sunday Mass. The result is a Catholic population formed from several layers at once. Some families have lived in the region for generations. Others crossed an international border. Many arrived from California, the Midwest, or the Northeast, with parish experiences shaped in completely different settings. A single church may now serve longtime Hispanic Catholics, newly arrived immigrants, English-speaking families, and retirees who expected to find a smaller congregation. Arizona's hardest challenge may be keeping pastoral life close to communities that are spreading across an enormous and rapidly developing landscape. New subdivisions can appear far from established churches, while extreme heat, transportation limits, and a shortage of clergy complicate regular access to Mass, confession, and religious formation. Arizona is not building Catholic life from nothing. It is trying to carry a deep religious inheritance into cities growing faster than the institutions created to serve them. Number 3. Colorado. A young Catholic arrives in Denver for a new job, settles into an unfamiliar neighborhood, and slowly realizes that the move has disrupted more than a daily routine. Friends are far away, family habits have changed, and faith that once felt automatic now requires a deliberate choice. For many newcomers to Colorado, the parish becomes one of the first places where a scattered life begins to take shape again. This personal search is unfolding across a state that continues to attract students, professionals, newly married couples, and families drawn by work, universities, and an active outdoor culture. Some arrive with a strong Catholic identity. Others have not practiced for years but begin looking for community after relocation, marriage, parenthood, or a period of personal uncertainty. Their return does not always begin with a dramatic conversion. It may start with a Sunday Mass, an invitation from a friend, a baptism class, or the need to give their children a spiritual foundation. Around Denver and other growing areas, certain parishes have responded with serious religious formation, young adult groups, reverent liturgy, charitable service, and opportunities for confession and spiritual. These ministries can help turn population movement into deeper participation, especially among people searching for more than social connection. A crowded young adult event or a growing formation program, however, cannot speak for the entire state. Colorado remains strongly influenced by secular culture, and many residents still live far from regular parish involvement. The real significance of its Catholic growth lies in the tension between these two realities. More! Ting proceed. Number 2. Florida. There is no single Catholic Florida. Along the southern coast, Cuban families carry memories shaped by exile, sacrifice, and devotion. Farther north, Puerto Rican communities have grown around Orlando and Central Florida, while Haitian, Brazilian, Colombian, Venezuelan, and other Latin American Catholics have brought new languages, feast days, music, and forms of prayer into parish life. At the same time, retirees from the Northeast and Midwest continue arriving with their own expectations of worship, community, and pastoral care. These streams do not simply merge into one uniform population. They create a Catholic landscape that changes from one county to the next. A parish near Miami may move naturally between English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. A church near Orlando may serve young immigrant families alongside workers employed by the region's tourism economy. Coastal congregations may include large numbers of older Catholics who need home visits, transportation, and support through illness or isolation. Florida's rapid growth, therefore, produces several pastoral demands at once. Families with children need religious education, baptismal preparation, youth ministry, and access to Catholic schools. Newly arrived immigrants may need help navigating employment, housing, and legal uncertainty. Older parishioners require sustained sacramental care, while priests and lay leaders must prevent language and generation from dividing the community into separate worlds. The state's Catholic expansion is powerful because it reflects several movements happening simultaneously: international immigration, domestic relocation, retirement, and the formation of new families. Yet Florida also carries a warning. A larger Catholic population does not automatically create stronger Catholic life. The future will depend on whether parishes can turn constant movement into belonging, cultural variety into communion, and temporary arrival into a lasting spiritual home. Number 1. Texas. Texas is not experiencing one Catholic expansion. It is experiencing several at the same time, across cities separated by hundreds of miles and shaped by entirely different populations. Houston is becoming more international. Dallas and Fort Worth are spreading through vast suburban corridors. Austin continues attracting younger professionals, and San Antonio carries a Catholic identity rooted far deeper than the latest population boom. Together, these regions are pushing Texas to the center of America's changing Catholic map. In Houston, parish life reflects migration from Latin America, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, often bringing several languages and devotional traditions into the same community. Around Dallas and Fort Worth, new housing developments are filling with young couples and families arriving for employment, education, and a lower cost of living than many coastal cities. Austin presents a different challenge, since rapid economic growth attracts young adults who may still identify as Catholic but have not yet built lasting relationships with a parish. San Antonio adds another layer through long-standing Hispanic families whose faith is tied to local history, family celebrations, and traditions passed down across generations. The strength of Texas lies in this convergence. International immigration adds new communities, domestic relocation brings Catholics from other states, and younger families continue forming in metropolitan areas where entire neighborhoods seem to appear almost overnight. Yet the same momentum creates enormous pressure. A diocese may need land for future churches before roads and subdivisions are complete. Priests face crowded sacramental schedules, religious education programs require more teachers, and Catholic schools must decide whether they can expand without becoming unaffordable for the families they were created to serve. Texas, therefore, stands at the top not simply because more Catholics are arriving, but because the scale of change is forcing the Church to prepare for an entirely different future. The decisive question is whether dioceses can build fast enough, form leaders deeply enough, and unite communities diverse enough to turn demographic growth into a lasting Catholic culture. Texas already has the people. The next chapter depends on whether its parishes can become strong enough to carry their faith into the generations that follow. The Catholic map of the United States is no longer centered only in the historic strongholds of the Northeast and Midwest. From Nevada to Texas, growing Catholic populations are reshaping parish life across the South and West through migration, young families, international communities, and traditions carried across generations. Yet population growth alone will not determine the future of the Catholic Church in America. The deeper test is whether dioceses can build new parishes, form faithful communities, serve multiple languages, support families, and help those who identify as Catholic become active participants in sacramental life. These states reveal a church in motion, carrying an ancient faith into new cities, expanding suburbs, and communities still searching for a spiritual home. Tell us which state has experienced the most visible Catholic growth in your area, and subscribe to the channel for more stories exploring Catholic culture, history, and the changing church across America.